Hello, thank you for being here, where healing stories begin. There are letters that need no envelopes, no handwritten signatures, no teardrops falling onto the paper, just a cold subject line appearing in the scorching midday sun of the Kandahar desert. Be an adult about this. I read it on the dust-blurred screen of a military-issued laptop. 3 short sentences. A PDF attachment. No apologies, no explanations. That's how my wife, the woman I had lived with for 13 years, chose to end our marriage. I closed the laptop, expressionless. The soldiers around me kept laughing, sharing stories from home, complaining about food without salt. As for me, I stood up, walked to the communal bathroom, turned on the coldest water I could, and let it pierce my sunburned skin. I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't break anything. I simply washed my face, put my uniform back on, tightened my boots, and returned to duty. Because out here, on the battlefield, there's no time for personal pain. That night, I lay on a shaking bunk bed. Wilson, my roommate, was reading an old Hemingway book. He didn't look at me, just asked quietly, "Something wrong?" I replied, "Yeah, a little something." He nodded. Nothing more needed to be said. Out here, silence speaks volumes. Truth is, I wasn't surprised. 6 months before my deployment, I felt things shifting. Becky started growing distant, started working late, started wearing outfits I'd never seen before. Her laugh changed. She asked fewer questions. Her eyes were more often on her phone than on me. I'm not a jealous man. I didn't check her messages. I didn't interrogate. But I'm not blind. I saw. I knew. And I quietly prepared. Not for a divorce, but for the moment I'd need to rise after it. I moved part of my salary into a separate account, sent important documents to secure storage, gave my house key to a close friend, just in case. I didn't tell Becky, not a word. I loved her, but I loved myself enough not to be a victim. When that email came, I didn't break down. I just sighed, and in the quiet desert night, I typed a one-word reply. Understood. No blame. No begging. I've walked through places where bombs dropped inches from my head. A cold goodbye, even one like that, couldn't kill me. 2 weeks later, I got a bank notification. $88,500 gone from our joint account. Left $22. I sat in a corner of the base, staring at my phone screen, feeling nothing. Becky didn't just leave, she cleaned it out and moved Jeremy, her new boyfriend, into the very house I had built brick by brick, photo frame by photo frame. I didn't tell anyone, didn't post online, didn't call home. I just began taking notes, compiling documents. I called James, an old friend, now a lawyer. I reviewed every debt, every property, every VA loan clause. I wasn't seeking revenge. I was making sure I wouldn't fall. I remembered the day we met, spring 2010, a unit, BBQ. She wore a floral dress. I wore military fatigues. We talked about movies, little dreams, and simple joys. I thought I'd found home. We bought a house in 2014, had a dog, no kids, because I was gone too often. Becky once said, "I don't want to raise a child alone." I understood, and I thought she understood my sacrifices too. But sometimes, people change. No reason, no blame. They just drift away. When I returned to the U.S., it was raining. No one was there. I called an Uber to what used to be my home. The door was locked. I had no key. I stood under the porch roof, peering through the glass. Jeremy was inside, eating toast in the kitchen. I smiled. A soft smile, like watching a movie you're no longer part of. I moved on, found a small apartment near a lake. Every morning I made coffee and walked the dog I'd reclaimed from the shelter. I didn't write Becky, didn't hate her. I just sent her a clear inventory, what I kept, what she could take. No disputes, no drama. Someone once asked me, "Aren't you angry?" I said, "I've walked lands where my friends never came back. I've seen mothers collapse as they're handed a folded flag instead of their son. Someone walking out of my life doesn't get to destroy me. I'm not a perfect man. I've been angry, selfish, silent when I should have spoken, but I never betrayed. I kept my vow, from the wedding day to that final email. And if you're hearing this, heartbroken by someone who left, remember this. Don't try to win a small battle, only to lose yourself in the long journey of life. Silence isn't weakness. Forgiveness isn't defeat. Rising again, that's what makes you unbreakable. I'm still me, a man, a soldier, a heart once shattered, but never crushed. And so are you. Some autumn mornings. There are autumn mornings when the sky is neither cold nor sunny. The wind barely brushes past the balcony, carrying the scent of freshly cut grass from the nearby park. I make myself a cup of black coffee, no sugar, no cream, just like the way I live. Honest, simple. In the silence of my small apartment, the clink of the spoon against the cup sounds like the first music of the day. There's no longer the slap of flip-flops rushing down the stairs. No more the voice calling, "Hey, I forgot my keys." Just me, and me alone. It took me months to accept that absence. Not because I needed her to survive, but because we were once a part of each other's memories. And memories, sometimes, hurt more than the present. One day at the supermarket, I picked up a jar of sauce she used to like. Then I laughed and put it back on the shelf. Not because I missed her, but because I'm learning how to forgive without needing to go back. I started writing. Not legal complaints, but a journal. Every night, I spend 30 minutes jotting down one thing I'm grateful for, no matter how small. An empty park bench, sunlight gliding across the lake, or a stranger's smile in a coffee shop. You'd be surprised to know. Gratitude can mend a heart faster than any advice. It doesn't erase the hurt, but it soothes the scars. I accepted an invitation to speak to a group of young veterans. They wanted to hear about life after the battlefield. I told them not just about stray bullets and explosions, but about surviving the collapse of a marriage. I said, "We're taught how to fight enemies, but no one teaches us how to live when someone we love walks away. Wars end with treaties. Love ends with silence." A young man asked me, "Why don't you hate her?" I looked at him for a long moment, then replied, "Because carrying hatred is like dragging a 30-kilogram backpack every day when there's no war left to fight. Hatred won't bring them back. It only slows you down on the road to finding yourself." Becky called once, not to apologize, just to check in. She said, "I heard you're doing well. I'm happy for you." I replied gently, "Thank you. I hope you're happy too, in the way you choose." And that was the last time we spoke. No tears, no blame. Just two people who finally grew up through their own pain. Now, I spend my time writing books. Not about war, not about heartbreak, but about healing, rising, and growing up in ways no one taught us when we were young. Dear friend, if you're hearing these words and there's still a hole in your heart named after someone, please believe. You are not a failure. You are in the process of rebirth. Maybe you just received a breakup email. Maybe you just lost everything in an emotional or financial storm. But you're still here. You're still breathing. Still have the chance to begin again. Life isn't a sequence of certainties. It's a journey of learning how to move forward when what you trusted most is gone. I used to think love was forever. Now, I believe, forever is not a promise. It's how you behave when everything falls apart. And if you're asking yourself, am I strong enough to get through this? My answer is, not just strong enough, but worthy of living a peaceful, unburdened life, even after being left behind. When you know you're whole enough to let go, there's something strange about it. When you stop clinging to what is already left, your heart suddenly feels as light as a late afternoon cloud. I don't remember the exact day the pain stopped. All I know is that one morning I was sipping coffee and realized my heart was at peace. Not sad, not happy, not trying to forget. Just simply, it no longer mattered. I started planting. The balcony is tiny, but enough for a few bougainvilleas, a rosemary bush, and some mint seeds. They don't speak, don't leave, don't betray. They just grow, quietly and steadily, like I do now. I've learned how to love myself without feeling lonely. Learned to dine alone without needing someone across the table. Learned to walk the streets without holding a hand. And surprisingly, I found peace. Because it turns out the thing that brings happiness was never having someone, but having yourself. I no longer need to write letters to her. I write to myself, the 25-year-old me, the 30-year-old me, who once hoped, once broke, and once thought he couldn't survive without someone by his side. I write to myself, the one who walked through pain to understand. It's not love that hurts. It's giving it to the wrong person, at the wrong time, in the wrong way. Sometimes I still look back, like a traveler glancing toward an old campsite, not to return, just to smile at the person I used to be and say, thank you for walking out of my life, right when I needed to learn how to stand on my own. You ask me, are you afraid to love again? I say, no. I'm not afraid of love, I'm just no longer blind to it. Love, to me now, is something that comes after peace, not something that costs me peace to have. Dear friend, if you're still listening to this at the very end, let me say one heartfelt thing. You are enough. You don't need someone beside you to feel valuable. No one can complete you, except you. Maturity doesn't come from knowing a lot. It comes from daring to let go of the things that once shattered you. And then, continuing to live with kindness, sincerity, and without bitterness. I used to think, how will I live if I lose her? Now I smile and think, how could I have forgotten that I am the one I should protect most? Soft music fades in, warm, calm voice. If someone once walked away from you, if you once fell to your knees in the dark, begging someone to stay, if you once wanted to end everything because you thought you no longer mattered, then now please stand up, wipe your tears, and start over, not by forgetting, just by accepting. Because the most beautiful thing you can do after being hurt is not revenge, not forcing a smile, but to live a peaceful life, so peaceful that the other person would never dare to break it again. Living again after a heartbreak. Since the day I stopped blaming, life didn't instantly become beautiful. The world was still noisy, people were still in a rush, messages were still seen but not replied to, and tea still went cold when someone didn't show up. But inside me, something had changed. I no longer felt like I was missing anything. I just felt whole, in a quiet, simple, yet profound way. One rainy day, I played an old song, a song that used to make my heart ache with just a few notes. But that day, I was doing the dishes while it played, even sang along a few lines, and then laughed to myself. So, I've truly moved on. No longer crushed by memories, no longer drowning in what-ifs. It was just a song, and I kept living. People say time heals. I'm not so sure. I think time only gives us the chance to better understand ourselves. And once you truly know who you are, what you need, and what you deserve, then those who left, those falls and stumbles, will feel like gentle nudges, guiding you to a better path in life. One day, you'll look back on all the pain you carried, and they won't feel like ugly scars anymore. They'll feel like certificates, a kind of graduation diploma from life, so you can love deeply again. By and but not no longer den. Pendantly, you don't need anyone to save you. You just need to believe that you deserve a better life. And once you believe, you'll move, even if you tremble. You'll relearn how to breathe, how to smile, how to see the wind brushing against the grass, and feel it's as poetic as a verse. Someone asked me, if you could go back, would you choose to love your ex again? I answered, no. I'd choose to thank them. Because without their leaving, I would have never had the chance to return to myself. From the day I learned to forgive, both others and myself, my life became like sunshine after the rain. Not dazzling, but warm. Not radiant, but gentle. And you know what? That's enough. When we find our purpose in life, part of that journey is learning how to face challenges. Challenges aren't something we can avoid. Sometimes, they are the invaluable lessons life sends our way, helping us grow and evolve. Each of us carries a unique story, and those stories can be a great source of inspiration for ourselves and those around us. There is a saying, nothing is forever, but what you have learned will always stay with you. Truly, every difficult moment we go through has its value. The dark days, the moments that seem unbearable, are the very ones that build the person you are today. Never forget that every step, whether small or large, leads you to a stronger version of yourself. When we feel discouraged, there may be times when you feel alone on this journey. But remember, no one is ever truly alone. Each of us has the ability to connect with a large community, and more than that, we all have companions on this journey of life, whether they are family, friends, or people who have walked similar paths. There is one thing I have learned throughout the years, and that is strength is not the absence of fear, but the courage to face it. Yes, we may be afraid, we may feel tired, and sometimes everything seems to be against us. But as long as we don't give up, one day we will realize that those challenges are the stepping stones that lead us to greater goals. When you look back, you will see that every success, every victory came with a price. And the failures are the best teachers, helping us understand the value of perseverance, belief, and resilience in life. The more hardships we go through, the more we appreciate the simple things, the small joys in life. A smile, a word of encouragement from a loved one, or simply realizing we've overcome a challenge. These are enough to make every difficulty feel a little lighter. If you're at a point where you feel exhausted, don't hesitate to stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and look around. Life is not a race. It is a long journey where we will learn many things from the steps we take, the changes we experience. Sometimes, The most important thing is to learn to love ourselves, accept our weaknesses, and always trust in our own abilities. We all have the potential to change, not at a certain point in time, but every day, every moment of our lives. You can start from anywhere. It doesn't matter where you stand today, but what matters is where you will go from here. Don't let fear or worry hold you back. Never forget that every step, no matter how small, is a victory in the long journey of life. Love and belief are the essential elements of our lives. When we can love and trust ourselves, we will have the strength to overcome all difficulties, and most importantly, we will live a life worth living with meaningful experiences, sincere relationships, and a heart full of love. Remember, life isn't always easy, but it's always worth living and experiencing. Live each day with faith, hope, and love. Let every step you take be a milestone of growth and development. And most importantly, never forget that you are never alone on this journey. There are people around you, always ready to share, encourage, and walk with you through every challenge. Keep walking on your path, because you are the one who creates your future. And when you look back, you will see that the challenges you once faced are what make up a wonderful story. The story of perseverance, faith, and love. The conclusion is an important moment for us to reflect on what we've gone through, not just to remember the past, but to draw lessons for the future. Just like a book, our lives are not always full of happiness and smooth sailing. Sometimes we must face harsh challenges, moments when it feels like everything is against us. But it is precisely in those moments that we truly find ourselves. When we go through hardships, at first, we may feel like we have failed. However, if we look at it from a different perspective, it is actually an opportunity to learn, to grow. There is no success without a price, but if we dare to face challenges, we will realize that everything happens for a reason. These setbacks are not the end, but invaluable lessons that help us stand stronger on the path ahead. Speaking of the journey, it is a long process, full of challenges, but also full of unforgettable memories. The slow but steady steps, the times we stumble and then get back up, these all create a beautiful picture of life. It is precisely in the hardest moments that we realize the true strength is not in being able to do everything, but in persevering, standing up, no matter how many times we fall. The further we go, the more we realize that life is not just about achieving great goals. It's also about enjoying every moment, loving and appreciating those around us, and most importantly, loving ourselves. We may not be able to change the past, but we can certainly change the future. Each day that passes is a new opportunity to become a better version of ourselves. Looking back at what we've been through, the important thing is that we don't just remember the victories, but also the lessons learned from failure. Failure is not the end. It is just part of the journey. It is an opportunity for us to learn, to grow, and to be ready to face the next challenges. And when we've learned from those failures, we will realize that they helped us become more resilient, stronger, and wiser. To end this journey, remember that nothing is easy in life. But it's precisely because of these challenges and difficulties that we see the value of every day lived. Live every moment to the fullest. Don't regret the past. Don't worry about the future, but focus on the present, where we can create everything. Each day is a new opportunity for us to continue writing our own story. Finally, remember that everyone has their own path, their own story. Whether it's a path full of challenges or one covered in roses, It is the path you have chosen. Walk it with confidence, face challenges courageously, and always trust in yourself. And no matter what happens, never lose hope, because the future is always wide open and full of promise.